course of discussing movies, the host will spoil plots. You've been warned. Listen to their screams. And now I'm being joined by a legendary actor with over 200 acting credits to his name, including films like Apollo 13, Cocoon, The Waterboy, Terrifier 3, Ice Cream Man, and of course, Rock and Roll High School. Mr. Clint Howard. Clint, how are you?
I am doing well. I am doing really well.
Good, good. Well, I want to start. I'm going to talk about Rock and Roll High School primarily. Of course, this is a Ramones podcast, so we're going to talk primarily about that. In the movie, you play Eagle Bauer. So tell us, let's start. How did you get this role in this movie?
Well, Alan Arkish, the director, called me and asked me that, he said he was doing a movie. And I knew Alan, and I can take a little step backwards and explain my connection to him.
Sure.
But that he said, hey, I'm making this movie. Would you like to play this character, this wheeler dealer? So, there was no audition process. He just he asked me if I would do it. Now, I knew Alan Arkish because he had been my brother Ron's second unit cameraman on Grand Theft Auto.
Okay,
my brother's first directing job was for Roger Corman making Grand Theft Auto, and Roger assigned Alan to be the second unit director. And Alan had primarily been a cutter of trailers for Roger.
Okay.
That's how Alan got, cut his teeth. Yeah. So anyway, it was Alan, I guess Alan had made a movie called Hollywood Boulevard. But this was his first kind of, bigger effort at movies.
So, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. When you got the script, you read, you saw the role, what'd you think?
Well, I liked it. I liked the size of the role. I thought it was funny. God, I wish I could remember those details, Dan. I immediately said yes. Well, at that time, I had been a young actor. I'd been a child actor, and I wanted to be. It's kind of what I decided. It's what I want to do for a living. I liked the idea for the movie, so it was a yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and well, for those who may not know, Eagle Bauer is a guy who does favors for fellow students for a fee out of an office in a bathroom stall. So when you're approaching a role like that, which you've had lots of wacky roles like that, right? What's the mindset? How do you approach a kind of a unique role like that?
Well, first of all, Eagle Bauer doesn't think it's unique. It's,
True.
Eagle Bauer thinks that's the way he does business.
That's right. Okay.
So, listen, it's very normal. As crazy as it was, him having an office and a secretary in the bathroom was just day-to-day operations for Eagle Bauer.
Sure. What was with
the whole thing, the whole process, even doing that wild run of the one-handed approach to strap unfastening is a basic skill that must be mastered. Yeah. It is all very normal for Eagle Bauer. So that's kind of the thing you got to do with especially comedy is you have to just put yourself in a mindset where you're believing it.
Sure. What was with the necklace with the small Superman?
Props. I mean, first there was wardrobe, and then I was probably the wardrobe lady's idea to wear necklaces. And then, I'm a big believer in that kind of stuff. So just bring it on. Let's have more. It's a comedy. More.
Yeah. Okay. So they brought that to you, the Superman, the necklace and all that. And, that wasn't
I didn't listen, Dan. I did not bring that one from home.
Okay.
Listen, I inhabit, I do, of course, there's a lot of me in these characters, but
sure.
I'm not a wheeler dealer. I wasn't a wheeler dealer. I understood it. It was a character that I wrapped myself around, and I went out and played it.
Yeah. What were the Ramones like when filming the movie?
They were, listen, they were business. They were all business. I mean, you have to be on a Roger Corman movie because the thing is happening so fast,
Yeah.
that there's no real time to screw around.
Yeah.
That they were very friendly. Marky, I talked to Marky, the drummer, more than I really had talked to everybody else. They kept to themselves.
Yeah.
I didn't really ever have a chance to have any conversations with Joey
Yeah.
over the years. I just never had an opportunity to talk with him. I had an opportunity to talk to Johnny,
Yeah.
and throughout the years, I would run into him from time to time.
Yeah.
And boy, he left us way too soon, which was
Sure.
really a shame.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
But anyway, it was, and Marky, the drummer's very friendly, very normal, affable guy. And of course, Dee Dee was. I didn't have a chance to really do a lot of talking with Dee Dee,
Yeah.
but I sure loved their input into the movie. I loved the end result. I loved, and listen, I've said this before. I still am a huge Cheap Trick fan.
Yeah.
And they were considering using Cheap Trick
Yeah.
to play the band.
Yeah.
And I think it became a financial thing where Cheap Trick's record company wanted more money than Roger Corman was willing to afford.
Yeah.
So they ended up going with the Ramones. The Ramones were remarkably, and I don't have the exact details, but I've heard this from Alan, that the Ramones were remarkably, a sale priced item,
Sure.
all in for a very modest amount of money. Maybe their people realized that it was important to be in a movie. They thought there was a bigger upside than there was a downside.
Yeah.
So, so they came out. I remember they drove around in a van. They had the 4 band members and they had one touring guy that went with them. And I don't believe they had anybody, maybe Arturo might have been with them. But they traveled in like a plain white van.
Yep.
It's actually really funny. No limos for the Ramones.
Yeah. Did you know of the Ramones prior to the movie?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I knew of them. Not exactly my cup of tea, but I appreciated their music, and the fact they were kind of rebels, I thought was really a blast. And during Rock and Roll High School or right after Rock and Roll High School was finished, they had a gig where they opened for Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
And got booed off the stage, and I was there, and it was not. It was a horrible pairing of an opening act and Black Sabbath, because the Black Sabbath fans just were not ready to listen to the Ramones.
Well,
and the Ramones went and played, and then liquor bottles started flying at the stage, and they left the stage. And then they went back out and tried to restart their set, and the fans had none of it. And they went home.
That probably was their worst experience. There was a time when they opened for Toto, and that was horrendous for them, and they didn't even finish their sets. I can't imagine Toto fans being real receptive to the Ramones.
Yeah, the Toto guys grew up around here. In fact, there's one story that my brother tells where he went, and I think it was Steve Porcaro. Mm-hmm. One of the Porcaro brothers passed away, but the guitar player actually they were about the same age. And one day Ron went over to their house and played with them, because Ron was just learning how to play the guitar.
Oh yeah.
And Ron realized he was way out of his league when he couldn't keep up. So but Ron played with Toto for
there you go.
About 15 minutes.
Sure. What about working with the rest of the cast? PJ Souls, D Young, some of them. What was your experience like with all them?
All wonderful. Vince Van Patten, especially. I hung out with Vince a lot. We were the same age, and we ran around together, and it was PJ, and I've known PJ over the years, but I didn't have a chance to really spend a lot of time with him.
Yeah.
Again, you got to understand. I mean, Roger Corman movies are shooting fast.
Yeah.
And there's just not a lot of time for socializing.
Yeah. And the movie, it didn't perform very well. But it's one of those films that's got a big cult following, right? What's that as an actor? How is that for you? Right? Obviously you want it to perform well, but over the years, that cult following, there's got to be at least a little bit of satisfaction with that, correct?
Listen, I appreciate that the work that I've been involved with has legs. Rock and Roll High School was, one of those examples. It's worn well, you know. I'm very proud that I've been in, uh, some movies that have, Waterboy. Now,
Yeah.
Waterboy isn't nearly as old as Rock and Roll High School,
Yep.
but Waterboy is a movie that, yeah, it's a comedy, but man, my wife Kat and I go to these horror conventions and go to these pop conventions, and people love Rock and Roll High School, people love Waterboy.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you, my wife, she saw Rock and Roll High School in the '80s, right? A few years after it came out, home video and whatnot, and she had no idea who the Ramones were. She rented the movie, watched the movie because of Clint Howard, and so she was a fan. You drew her to that movie, and then she developed a liking for the Ramones because of that. So there you go.
Well, yeah, that's just follow the rabbit.
That's right. You're the
I,
gateway drug to the Ramones.
well, I appreciate that. And let's see. Let me do a little math. I had been a professional actor for about 16 or 17 years
Yeah.
before I did Rock and Roll High School. So
Yeah.
yeah, I had already developed quite a track record of participating in entertainment.
Yeah. I mean, well, right. You started super young, right? You were doing spots on Andy Griffith, right? And everything else, doing voices in Disney movie. I mean, you were working pretty much as long as you were walking, right? I mean,
But pretty much.
yeah.
Pretty much. I started when my first professional job was in December of 1961. And that program wasn't aired until 1962. But
Yeah.
then I immediately started working, and I did a couple of pilots, and I did an episode of The Fugitive, and I did a couple episodes of Please Don't Eat the Daisies.
Yeah.
And then actually early on, the most significant job I did, I was about 5 years old, and I did an episode of Bonanza.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All ye his saints.
Yeah.
And it was a really strong episode, and I had a really good role. And so it was that really solidified me as a kid that could, that could handle dialogue, handle action, was I mean, as I was a little kid, I wasn't doing anything abnormal.
Yeah.
I was doing kid stuff, but I was doing it well, and I owe that all to my dad,
Yeah. Sure.
Rance Howard. Rance Howard was my mentor. He was my dad. He was the one that guided me through, my childhood and into adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
And God, until my dad passed away, he was my best friend.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that I owe this journey to him.
Yeah.
And I remind myself of that every day.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And I mean, your resume is remarkable. I mean, not only some of these things, I mean, you did Star Trek. I mean, it is like a who's who of television programming, movies that you've had spots in. It's pretty remarkable. When you look at your like your IMDb, if you scroll through it, it's pretty incredible. It's got to be surreal, right? To look at that and think, wow.
Well, I don't know. I'm not even sure what the definition of surreal is.
Sure.
I'll tell you, because it is my life,
Yeah.
and I remember most of it. I'm 66 years old, and I'm now having, a few little blank spots. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember being on some of the westerns I did. I did a lot of westerns when I was a kid. I was in an episode of Laredo. In fact, the memorable thing about working on Laredo, there was an actor named Neville Brand, who was a very interesting guy. And I remember taking a liking to him. And we filmed up at Universal, where the Universal Studios tour is. But back in like 1965 or 64, whenever it was, the studio tour, the tram had just started.
Yeah.
And the tram would drive around, and they didn't have any attractions. They had Lucille Ball's dressing room. That was a big that was their big attraction. But I remember seeing the tram and thought that was pretty funny. But I remember working on Laredo.
Yeah.
But I did all sorts I was in the Virginian, a couple episodes of Virginian. Of course, a little bit later on, I started working in a lot of other television. Marcus Welby, MD.
Yeah.
I did an episode of Night Gallery. I did an episode of Gunsmoke. So yeah, my IMDb credit is pretty amazing.
It is. It's diverse.
Well, it is. And I'll tell you, you mentioned real briefly the Star Trek thing,
Yeah.
the Corbomite maneuver.
Hmm.
Here I was 6 years old, and maybe I had just turned 7, but I played a 600-year-old alien. So here I was America's littlest character actor.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So when you're out, you mentioned doing conventions and appearances, signings, things like that. How often do people recognize you for Rock and Roll High School of all your stuff?
Oh, it's on the list.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
it's certainly on the list. I mean, I'll be honest, it's probably not number one,
Yeah.
but it is there. I sign a lot of original LPs.
Yeah.
I sign vinyl.
Hmm.
I sign once in a while. I sign Laserdisc. Rock and Roll High School was put out in Laserdisc, and I
Wow.
signed that. Uh, those kind of things. I really appreciate the fans. I
Sure.
appreciate the, and if it means something to them, and here they are, they've grown up watching me, and now now since we're all getting on down the road,
Yeah.
the opportunity to sit and have a chat with somebody for a couple minutes is something that I enjoy doing. It's
Sure.
fun.
Yeah.
And we we do probably about a half a dozen conventions a year.
Yeah. Well, I do want to talk to you briefly about Ice Cream Man. I'm a horror fan. I love Ice Cream Man. This is another one of those kind of unique roles, right? Kind of a wacky-ish role. Again, this one, when you read the script, for this role, I mean, you're a guy producing ice cream with human flesh in it. What seals the deal for Clint Howard to take that on and do that role?
Well, it was work. It
Okay.
was it was work. It was a good role. It was the lead of the movie. It was the ice cream man.
Yeah.
And having gone in and met the director, I actually auditioned for Ice Cream
Okay.
Man. And when I went in and met Norman, I you know it wasn't a straightaway horror movie. It had kids in it. Our
Sure.
tongue was our tongue was firmly planted in our cheek
Yep.
when we made that movie, and it was an opportunity to for work. And for 3 or 4 weeks, I got paychecks.
Yeah. I love the movie, and I think you did a great job of making Gregory sympathetic,
Well,
right?
thank you.
Yeah.
And that leads to another point. Yeah, over the course of time, Ice Cream Man has really developed this loyal following and a fan
Yep.
base and a reputation as being a nice piece of entertainment.
Yep.
People love it. That may be number one. If you want to talk about projects that people remember me from, I mean, Star Trek, of course,
Hmm.
but Ice Cream Man is right there at the very, very, very top.
I
But
bet.
we are making a film called Another Ice Cream Man,
Really?
and yeah, my wife, Kat Howard, Norman Epstein, and myself are producing a film that is going to be. It's not a sequel, but it is another Ice Cream Man. And
Okay.
we really think the script is solid. We're in pre-production now. We are really aiming and are going to shoot in the first part of the spring, late winter, early spring of 2026.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting, right? Because there was talks of a sequel, right? Sunday Bloody Sunday, I've heard that was scrapped and didn't. What happened with that one? Um,
Oh, I don't know. Norman had an approach of do it kind of crowdfunding,
mm,
and then the initial response was kind of underwhelming. And at that point, we kind of lost interest.
gotcha.
And that was really a sequel.
Sure.
And this is we all sat down and started thinking, what can we do that's fresh? And we felt like, my God, we can do a movie, and it's not about Gregory. It's not. It's just, and that's why we're calling it Another Ice Cream Man. It's somebody else.
Gotcha. Okay. And another fun part you had was Terrifier 3, right? Where I mean, you got killed by Art the Clown. You're in a scene with Daniel Roebuck, Bradley Stryker, of course, David Howard Thornton, in a bar, Christmas setting. That had to be just absolutely a ton of fun to film.
Oh, it was. And that, I'll tell you, the genesis of that is we met those guys, and it was really Kat that identified that this character was going to be something that the public was going to take to. Because we were at a convention and we saw people walking around dressed like Art the Clown, and we didn't really know.
Yeah, yeah,
Why is everybody dressed like this one particular clown? And we did a little investigating. And we found out where Art the Clown came from, and
yeah.
then we had an opportunity to meet Damien
Oh, yeah.
and David Howard Thornton, and Damien immediately came up and said, "Oh, how would you like Art the Clown to kill you?" And yeah, that would be great. Love
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And the success that Terrifier 3 had, and the fact that it is now, it's a maze at Universal theme park. I mean, it's an absolute home run because those guys they started out by making a very tiny little movie, and it did pretty well. And they went out and made another movie, and it did better.
Yeah,
And then they made another one, and it made almost $100 million.
yeah,
My
absolutely.
goodness. Phil Falcone, the,
Mhm.
the, the main overarching producer,
Producer. Hmm.
you know, just along with Damien Leone. And then David. David is a neighbor. We live in the same community. He's a wonderful dude.
Yeah,
And it was so much fun acting with him.
yeah,
Of course, he's not talking, but I was so impressed by the way he was able to make that character come to life. It was really strong and really beautiful. And I admired it. I'm really glad I got to participate.
yeah. It's wild because it's like, right, you've had this long career, and as we said, pretty much your entire life you've been acting, and it seems every decade you pop up in something that's pretty iconic, that's got a cult following, right? I mean, even to this day, Terrifier 3 is pretty modern, but it seems like Clint Howard just keeps popping up and leaving his mark on the entertainment.
Well, again, I like to work and I want to keep working. I went through a period of time a few years ago where listen, I think it happens to most people where I got a little, well, I don't know. I kind of took a sabbatical. It was
Hmm.
right around when my dad died.
Hmm.
I just felt like I'd done it all. I'd kind of done what I wanted to do. And then actually I met Kat and I met her, and I saw she showed me that there was still plenty of fuel in the tank, and I just got to get off my butt and go and do it.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
we have a 16-year-old daughter, Rafi,
uh,
who I'm dad, and
yeah.
that's I don't want to say it's crazy. That would be an easy way to say it's crazy. But being the dad of a teenage daughter is an interesting situation.
It has, yeah. And I
And,
gotta send a special, thanks to Kat there. She helped set all this up and coordinate all this, so I appreciate that and everything else. But we've talked about, right, Ice Cream Man, Terrifier 3, these horror movies. Are you a fan of the genre horror?
well, I'm not. You know, I particularly have certain tastes, but I watch a good horror movie. I mean, heck, I'm going to be co-directing another Ice Cream Man, so I
Yeah,
do believe in it. I understand that it's, there's value.
yeah.
Scaring people, it's just like telling a campfire story,
Yep.
around the campfire, and it's a scary story.
It's
You
as
know,
old as man, right?
people like to be scared,
Hmm.
and people like the dark side, and that's what kind of horror movies are. I'm not particularly a gross out kind of guy, although I understand the magic trick of it. I,
Yeah.
I don't, I don't care what I see. I don't care what I see on screen. Like Terrifier had some very, very frightening images,
Right.
but I also know that it's just an effect. Everybody gets up and goes to lunch,
Yeah.
and so anyway, I like good comedy, and at the end of the day, making people laugh and being able to take material and express it in a way where there's humor. And also, I like the idea of, even in a dramatic situation, to pull a humorous moment, to find a humorous nugget and shine a little light on it.
Yeah.
It's something that, we're going to have that in another Ice Cream Man. Of
Yeah.
course, it's a horror movie. There's not going to be nearly as many children in this movie as there was the first Ice Cream Man, but there is going to be some Easter eggs that you know make people remember the first Ice Cream Man. And listen, when you're writing, uh, funny shit comes up, and we
Yeah.
like to go ahead and apply that into the story.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask then when Clint Howard sits down to watch something, to be entertained, to decompress, What's your go-to? What is Clint Howard's comfort watch?
Well, I've got my favorite movies that I watch, and Godfather Part Two.
Oh,
I can watch that, over and over and over. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
mm,
But I also like good comedies. I mean,
hmm
listen, there's been some outstanding comedies. Tootsie was an
hmm.
outstanding comedy. Tootsie, in my mind, one of the best movies that you could possibly make.
Yep,
You know, I like Jack Nicholson has always been entertaining to me.
yep,
So anyway, my taste is kind of across the board.
sure. Well, I was gonna, and we talked about you, right? You've had a lot of wacky roles, these unique roles. I'm curious because I was trying to recollect. Has there ever been an action figure based on Ron Howard?
On Ron Howard,
No, not you. I'm sorry. Excuse me, Clint Howard. I'm sorry. My
I
bad.
don't know.
On any of your characters?
Oh yeah, I've been an action figure. I there was a Commander Baylock from the Corbomite Maneuver.
Oh, okay.
There was a little Baylock that came in a set with Captain Kirk and the monster
Uh-huh.
that
Okay.
I had. I signed a lot of those at the conventions.
I bet. Yeah.
And I don't know if there's been others. There's been people that have made one-off pops of me.
Mm.
Uh, you know, there was a mask made of me of Mr. Baggy Britches from Three from Hell.
Yeah. How has there not been a Gregory figure?
I don't know.
Come
I'm
on.
sure in the next one, I'm sure Craigie's the character, and I'm sure there's going to be there'll be a Craigie, action figure.
Well, I hope so. Well, let's kind of wind this down then, right? We mentioned you have this amazing resume, right? Andy Griffith Show, Star Trek, Jungle Book. We've talked all about them. On and on and on. You've written a book with your brother Ron. You're still out there working to this day. What else? What else does Clint Howard hope to work on or achieve in your career?
Oh, I want to continue to work. I mean, listen, this was a surprise thing that happened to me, but last year, I had a 13 episode run on a soap opera, Bold and the Beautiful, and
Yeah.
I got nominated for a daytime Emmy, and that was an honor.
Yeah.
And I never thought I was going to dabble in soap operas, but I did, and I have profound respect for the people that make those, and it's a great art form, you know. So anyway, I did that. I'd like to continue. I'd like to direct a movie or two before I hang it up, and I would love to, I don't know, 5 or 10 years. I'd like to, with my wife, I'd like to get an Airstream trailer and ride off into the sunset
There you go.
and enjoy about 10 years of my life in peace and harmony. I'm not worrying about the business because I'll tell you what, Dan, the business can get on your nerves.
I bet.
It just can. First of all,
Yeah.
it's kind of competitive.
Mm.
There's I don't want to say dog eat dog, but it's a competitive thing, and I want to, I like to compete and I like to do it, but I also, I want to enjoy myself,
Yeah.
and we're determined to make that happen.
Yeah. I mean, you've always struck me as kind of a laid back guy. And that's unique sometimes, right, in this business, I would think.
Yeah, I'm laid back to a point, but if you ask my wife about it, and then she all the time we talk about it, Jesus, that keep breathing, Clint. Please keep breathing. You got to keep breathing because a lot of times I'll get in a situation and I'll get tense and worry about something, and then I'll realize that I quit breathing.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's
Well, I got to. How's Ron doing? I mean, your brother Ron, right? Everybody knows Ron. What's he up to? How's he doing?
Ron's doing great. I think he's somewhere in Europe prepping a movie. He's got a war movie that he's doing.
Gotcha.
Got a modern day war movie. Of course, I knew he was going to do it. He told me that it had gotten greenlit, and I said, "Hey, is there anything in it for me?" And there's not. It's a military movie, and guys like this, they're not military guys.
Yeah, no offense, you don't have that military look, do you? I mean,
But I'll tell you what, I know Ron has always enjoyed working with me, and he always says, yeah, we're going to work some more.
sure,
We'll
of course.
work together.
Yeah,
It's just but he's doing great. He loves to work. He's 71 years old, and he still wants to do it. And in the past, he said he'd like to direct a movie when he's 100. I think he
Wow.
maybe, I think he maybe dialed that back a little bit, but he wants to continue to do it. I think he's got, Ron probably has 10 more movies in him.
Yeah, sure. Why not? And I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, you guys, I mean, again, you've been working together off and on for your entire lives, right? All the way back to Andy Griffith and here and there, off and on. And, you did the book together and everything else. So it's nice to see that. And I hope, right, we'll see some more collaboration between the Howard brothers. That would be
Cool.
nice.
Well, yeah.
And
From your lips to God's ears.
that's right. Well, thank you. Again, I'm a huge fan, Clint. I mean, I'm a Romans fan, so I love Rock and Roll High School. But
Cool, man.
I'm a huge horror fan, so I love Ice Cream Man. I'm a huge fan of the Terrifier franchise, so I love seeing you in that. But you're kind of one of those go-to guys that I like seeing what you're doing.
Oh,
Whatever it
I
is you're
appreciate it.
doing, I seek out to watch your work, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, okay. Well, then I'll end with this. After this, after people finish listening to this, maybe they ought to do a little gabba gabba hay and go have some butter brickle ice cream on a waffle cone.
As long as they're not getting it from Gregory, they'll be okay, won't they?
Yep.
Yeah, I've never quite know what is butter brick. What is that?
I don't know.
I don't
It,
know
it is.
either.
It is an ice cream, and I've had it. It's pretty good.
Not me. I've never had it, so I don't know. I'm a weird Midwest guy, and I like this odd ice cream called Superman. This Superman ice cream from the Midwest. So I don't know what butter brickle is, but that's right. That would be the best thing, right? Just crank up the Ramones, have a little butter brickle, and pay tribute to Clint Howard. There you go.
Yep.
Yeah,
Thanks, man.
absolutely. Clint, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much, sir, for coming on and talking to me. And maybe we can cross paths again down the road and talk a little more because you're still working, and I'd love to touch base again.
Terrific. Thanks. We'll
All
do
right.
it.